Video was intended to inform and educate the public.
Welcome once again to the Junkyard News. I'm your host, the Junkyard Dog, and in today's video, we're going to be discussing a news story that's come out of New York. Now, you might have seen this already on another channel, and it is blowing up on YouTube, on news media on the East Coast, and pretty much all over social media. And I just thought it was an important story to share on my channel as well. Normally, when you or one of your family members is in need of care and you call to get help, medical help, you would expect some empathy, some compassion, and some understanding from the people that are paid to treat you and transport you to the hospital. Not to mention any law enforcement officers also that end up showing up because they were called to a scene. In this case, it seems the opposite occurred, and we will go over it a little bit. Video clip of the mayor of New York, Rochester, New York, holding a press conference about the way one of their citizens in Rochester was treated, not only by city contracted ambulance staff, but police that showed up when the ambulance called them as well. Again, this was from Rochester, New York. Rochester Mayor Mr. Evans called for answers Thursday after a Rochester man was asked to exit an ambulance and left on the ground for more than 2 minutes without help after exiting.
So I'm here today to share that I have just learned about an incident that has me deeply concerned. Exactly 2 days ago, I became aware of an incident that occurred on November 30th, in which an individual in the care of EMTs, as you know, we contract our EMT services with a company called AMR, was on the way to the hospital. And for some reason, this individual was made to exit the ambulance on a city street.
That's right. You heard that right. So what it appears to have happened and transpired is this individual called for help. Ambulance arrived. He got in the ambulance, told him he was having a hard time breathing. He had made some type of comment to the ambulance staff that he started getting pain after he was drinking some water. But what transpired, I guess, was he felt he needed oxygen. He was having a hard time breathing. He needed oxygen. And they must not have decided at that moment in time that they needed to give him oxygen. Maybe it was a case where they needed some answers, get his vitals first. They normally, when EMS shows up, they get your vitals, and when they're transporting you, and there's some steps that take place. Your information, all that stuff, how old you are, they ask you questions, and if you have a mask on, sometimes it's hard to communicate. He wanted oxygen from the ambulance staff. They didn't act fast enough, and something transpired in the ambulance that the female paramedics, ambulance staff, felt that they needed him to leave. And they pulled over on the side of the street, called the police, and said, "We want this guy out of our ambulance."
I don't know what's wrong with him, but he will not get out of our truck.
Okay.
And he's got to go.
Sir, it's a wrap. Looks like they want you out.
I couldn't breathe.
They want you out, sir. No fight at this time.
To help
They're just trying to get him out.
the way that you got in here and the way that you just looked at us, there was no.
All right, sir. Come on. Come on. No games. Get out.
I'm getting out.
Thank you.
No.
Okay.
277 outlet.
You told us you had pain from drinking water, and then you came in and you jumped at me and my partner and demanded oxygen. You would not let go of me.
247, same traffic. 47, same traffic.
I was freaking out.
All right.
You freak out too if you can't breathe.
I hear you. I probably try to control myself a little bit better. I'm not going to grab on anybody. You know what I mean?
No, I'm trying to grab for the door. I'm trying to get out of here.
Okay.
There's still a lot of questions as far as why they wanted him to leave exactly. Was he belligerent? One ambulance member said that he grabbed her. We don't know any more than that. What was it? Grabbed her arm, like, I can't breathe, give me oxygen, or something to that effect. We don't know. But the police show up. The police tell him, hey man, they want you out of the ambulance. You got to get out of the ambulance. He's complaining he can't breathe. He puts his jacket, his coats on. He's got 2 jackets. He puts them on because it's cold in New York right now. Especially this happens in the evening, at night. So I can only imagine the temperature it is outside. Then he exits the ambulance and they tell him to get on the sidewalk, which he does, but not before he asks the police that showed up and were parked behind the ambulance, well, can you take me to the hospital?
Can you take me to the hospital, man?
No.
And the cop says no. There's the sidewalk. Go get on the sidewalk. This individual proceeds to listen to the officer after he was refused help. He goes on the sidewalk, and there's what looks like a bench, but it could just be like a raised concrete structure. News media outlets report it was like a cement bench, but it's hard to tell. He sits on that concrete structure to rest for a moment. And after a few seconds, he falls or intentionally goes to his knees on the ground, on the sidewalk, and then collapses face first into the cement sidewalk. And he's just laying there motionless. What you're going to see is you're going to see police stand there, see him on the ground, see him not moving, face first into the ground, not moving, prone position, and they don't care. They just don't seem to care. They go about their business, they're chatting it up, they're talking to the paramedics, they're talking to each other. It looks like one's on the phone calling and talking to somebody. Who the heck knows? Maybe he's putting in an order at Dunkin' Donuts or something, or Krispy Kremes for his buddies. Who knows? The only thing that matters is they ignore a man laying motionless face first on the sidewalk. Ambulance staff, they're oblivious. They don't seem to care either. For 2 minutes, this guy's laying on the ground. Doesn't move. Finally, after around 2 minutes, one of the officers on scene, and there's quite a few on scene, just happens to walk towards him, takes out his flashlight, and flashes his flashlight at the guy's head, and it sounds like they see some bleeding occurring. That gets their attention a little bit more. Another officer comes up. They start turning the man over. He makes it sound like he's attempting to breathe but having trouble. And they turn him over. And finally, one, if not both, the female ambulance staff comes up, and one of them, in shock, oh my God, like she can't believe the guy is in that bad a shape. You just kicked him out of your ambulance. He was complaining that he couldn't breathe. He was having a medical issue. You're supposed to be taking him to the hospital, but because he wants oxygen and something occurs, you're going to kick him out? When the cops showed up, the guy didn't seem like he was too nuts or going crazy or anything like that. Was this a case of just some Karen? And the guy said something that she didn't like and she just went off the handle and kicked him out?
First and foremost, city residents deserve top-notch emergency services and healthcare. People must do better when caring for city residents. I was flabbergasted to learn that this incident occurred on November 30th. The person involved passed away from the health issue just before Christmas. And I was not pleased that I was learning about this just now. Here we are in the second week of January. As you know, I have said transparency is the hallmark of my administration and is a priority for City Council. We will not stand for procedural delays that hold up critical information that must be shared broadly. So earlier this afternoon, I shared this information of this incident with members of City Council, and now I believe that it is important to share it with the community. What you will see in the video, that footage will show an ambulance stopping on a city street. It shows Rochester police officers being called by EMTs to this ambulance, but it shows a person having trouble breathing and being asked to leave the ambulance and wait on the street. It also shows that that person is in clear distress, falling to the sidewalk and waiting for more than 2 minutes for medical personnel to help them. City residents are people, and they deserve to be treated humanely and with the same attention as anyone else. I want to understand why they chose to call the police. I want to understand why personnel required someone in distress to be removed from an ambulance instead of being taken directly to the hospital. We must get to the bottom of this. We must understand how and why this occurred, and we must identify processes and safeguards to ensure that this does not ever happen again. And most importantly, we must make sure that those who are caring for city residents provide them with the same level of care and compassion that they would provide their own loved ones.
He legitimately seems very upset. Now, keep in mind, this happened back in November. And he states that it just came to his attention now. And he immediately got video from the PD, from body cam, as well as right there on the corner where this all occurred was a city camera. And it actually is watching everything that's transpiring. And at one point it actually zooms in on the guy laying on the ground. And I can just imagine, there's somebody controlling it. And I can just imagine what that person who's controlling that camera is thinking as they're seeing this guy laying face first on the cement. Laying face down on the cement. And nobody cares. Nobody on that scene cares. For over 2 minutes. Until one just happens to flash a flashlight on him and they supposedly saw blood. And then it got their attention. Oh, wait, maybe this guy's like not faking or something. And maybe this guy really does need help. Outrageous. When you're paid to do a job and transport people that are in medical stress or having some type of medical issue to the hospital, you get it done. I don't care if the guy gets a little belligerent with you. I don't care if the guy acts up a little. If you were that concerned, sure. When the cop shows up, you have the cop right along and keep the guy in line until you get to the hospital. You don't just kick the guy to the curb. And the reason for that is exactly what happens here. The guy's kicked out and then has an episode. Things go south. Right there on a city street, on a public sidewalk, where everybody's gathered around and nobody lifts a finger for over 2 minutes to check on the guy. There's just no empathy. There's no empathy. Nobody cares. And that's what pisses me off the most, is they let that guy lay there for over 2 minutes. And you may think, oh, 2 minutes isn't that long of an amount of time. When you're in medical distress, 2 minutes could be a lifetime. And it could mean your life. Thank you very much for watching this video. By now, you've seen the clips. And you tell me, you comment below if you think he's pissed or if he's just pandering to the cameras. Because the city and him himself is what brought this to light once he found out. It's not like this footage and this video was leaked to the media and now they're reacting. No, he instigated the press conference and the release of the video after family members brought this to his attention and he looked into it. So comment below if you think he is truly, truly upset about this and if heads are going to roll because of this in one way or another. Let me know in the comments. And we'll see you next time on the Junkyard News.